Good evening, dear colleagues and my dear friends. I welcome you all for the third day of 7-day international webinar on women empowerment through sensitization. This program is organized by the Center for Women Empowerment and Women Studies of Manonmaniam Sundaranar University in association with International Commercial and Cultural Development Forum of Singapore and USA. The resource person for today's webinar is Dr. Abhirami Devi Shivashankar of the Department of Business Administration, Dubai University College, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Dr. Abhirami was awarded PhD from University of Madras and got her CFA from University of Maryland. She started her career as lecturer in commerce in University of Madras in June 1997 and served there till June 2000. She has served several other institutions like Sri Muthukumarasamy College, Chennai, D.G. Vaishnava College, and ICFOI National College at Chennai, and also she has served senior manager in Everon Systems India Limited, and at present she is with Jaipal University College, Saudi Arabia. And she is a member of Financial Management Association US, mentor Perry Blair Foundation for Women UK. She has got membership. She is a member in Financial Management Association US, member accreditation of Business Schools and Programs USA, management consultant, Indo-German Chamber of Commerce India. She has organized many workshops and faculty development programs. She has completed a few projects and has also authored few books. She has delivered lectures which accounts for nearly 25 in number. And on my own behalf and on behalf of the Center for Women Empowerment, Women Studies of Manonmaniam Sundaranar University, I welcome you, ma'am, to this webinar.
Thank you so much.
I hand over the section to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for an elaborate introduction. It's my pleasure to be a part of this international workshop that you're organizing. My special thanks to Dr. Revdi and also to the Manonmaniam Sundaranar University. It's a great initiative for women empowerment. I'm so happy to be a part of this. And as you mentioned, this is I don't know the number of webinars we have done thanks to the lockdown. In some ways, it has been, quite informative, and we have been enhancing our knowledge during this lockdown period. It was when the first few workshops came in, it was really like what do I say? It was we were so excited. But I think now with the time and so many workshops and so many webinars, I'm sure the enthusiasm is like eating the 10th apple. I promise you that I will try to, make it interesting for you and make it informative also. So the intention of this workshop today is I want to really, share something that's very important with you. The most important thing for a teacher, I'm sure all of us are teachers here with with the passion.
Ma'am, pardon, ma'am, pardon.
Yes.
It seems it's not audible.
It's not audible.
You're on your mic. Switch on your mic. It's not audible, ma'am.
Okay, I'll put it in. Is it clear now? Can you hear me now?
But the participants are giving a comment. They are not able to hear.
Okay, I'm just checking the. It's in 100% actually.
Yes, ma'am. You continue.
Okay.
Let me see to that what's the comment they are giving.
All right. Okay. So getting on to the topic for today, I promise you that I'm going to give you something that's interesting, something that's useful for all of us for today's the new normalcy. So we are all talking about online teaching. So the concept for today is, how can we facilitate online teaching for higher education? I'm sure in university you must be facing a lot of challenges because you are teaching postgraduate students, and you're more concerned about the learning outcomes, how to achieve the learning outcomes, how to, because we are not doing face to face traditional lecture mode. So obviously when we are not doing that, I'm sure there's a lot of disturbance, and a lot of expectation and a lot of mismatching that's happening between the student and the teacher. So first thing that I would like to start about, start today's presentation is about how our classes were. It was us, and we were the teachers, and the teachers were the center of the class, and we were holding the class. We were taking all the attention from the students. So this is until January. February we closed in Saudi Arabia. I think in India you all closed in March. So until February it was a very different scenario. We always felt that teacher knows everything, teacher has to do everything, teacher has to take over, teacher has to take the first step. So it was entirely an entertainment for the students. But the scenario today is very different. If a student is not keen, so how is the student going to get the knowledge? So we know there are a lot of complaints coming up now in online teaching. The teachers are more challenged than the face-to-face teaching because the students escape, students try to avoid, the students log in and they're not even around, or they're eating and throwing tantrums, and parents are watching. So many things, many issues. Every day I see a lot of things coming up in WhatsApp and in other, Twitter and Instagram. I see so many things which are not so teacher friendly today. So how are we going to mold ourselves? So I'm going to talk about formulating what we have to formulate before going into our class. What should be our focus? What we have to follow? How we have to prepare, how we have to perform in the online platform, and we always talk about practice. So what are the things that we should be practicing so that we can be the best teacher ever? As I'm checking with you once again, I'm sure all of us wanted to be teacher. It's not that we became teachers because we did not get any other job. So if that was the case, the most important thing that we should do is how we are going to educate. What are we going to do? So let's formulate our teaching learning environment. How are we going to add flavor into our teaching? Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of mind to think, according to Albert Einstein. I'm sure that's what we are doing now. So how are we going to prompt our students to formulate their own questions? I saw a couple of documents from India. The NAC is asking you, the NAC accreditation committee is asking you to submit so many documents. The syllabus, the lesson plans, the ILOs, that is the intended learning outcomes, the learning objectives, everything is being prepared by the faculty members. So let's start sharing it with our students. So let's see what is that we want to give them, and let's see what they wanted to receive. Initially, when I joined Jubilee University College 10 years back, it was a new setup for me. I did not know how those students reacted or what they expected, because I know they are filthy rich students, very beautiful, very tall, very exotic in nature. 6 o'clock in the morning they used to come to college, and they used to have pizza in the morning around 6:30. I can't even think of such a kind of student. So I did not know what their expectation was. So I joined the college and I started going to their cafeteria, and there I saw how they seek variety. So when they want variety, so why not we also give students some variety in teaching? Why is it always the PPT? Why is it always the lecture? Lecture and PPT has to decrease. When it comes to online, I heard from most of my colleagues who are working in India that everybody is using PPT. They are sending the PPT, and once in a while they are creating a YouTube and sharing it with the students. So this is not completely addressing the students' inquiry. The students have to formulate their questions and they have to ask you. So how are we going to have these interactions in a PPT which has been sent by email, in a YouTube lecture which has already been recorded? So how do we work on this? What do we do? So allow multiple interactions and expressions of learning. So this is going to enhance multiple intelligence among the students and the faculty member. So the first thing that I would like to talk to you about is, before you formulate your teaching learning environment, I would say it's your learning environment. So let's work out on what is required from the student's perspective. Encourage group work and use of peers as resource, which is called as collaborative learning, has to be motivated, has to be brought in. So I'm going to give you a couple of tools and techniques as to how you can motivate collaborative learning. And I know the most important thing that all of us are talking about today is completion of the university syllabus, the set standard, the set syllabus, which is very, very important. So how are we going to complete this syllabus? With PPTs, with multiple intelligence introduced into classrooms, and with peer learning and working in teams and applying collaborative learning. So independent learning and feedback is also required. So this is where we are standing today. So a lot of issues. Our students are looking at us for better performance. They are experts in gadgets. They are experts in technology. They are experts in, with the internet, they just play around. Whereas we are traditional teachers. We are very good in board. We are very good in writing. We are very good in explaining. A lecture, I'm born to lecture, right? That's what we always think. We always love to lecture. Even me, I would love to lecture. Sorry. I'm so sorry. So what we do here is encourage group work and use of peers as learning resources and collaborative learnings. So this is where I'm going to talk to you about increasing the complexity and decreasing the difficulty. So objectives describes the goals and purpose and intentions of a professor who teaches the course, right? So the same objective also focuses on content, skill important within the classroom or for a particular program. Maybe it is a skill oriented program, it is a practical course. Objectives describes what the teachers will do. So here I do not want you to increase the difficulty, because online teaching, we are not very sure how far it is safe. So when we want to give an exam, when we want to give them a quiz, what we do is we increase the difficulty. No, this is not the right thing to do. So instead of increasing the difficulty, let's increase the complexity. So what is complexity? How to increase teaching the utmost concept that is required. So how do we focus? What do we focus? We focus more on content, we focus more on skill development in the classroom, and we are also going to challenge the students with the concepts. We are going to challenge the students in giving them, higher learning skills. For example, psychomotor skills, using their hands and exploring the concepts. So ladies are very good in multitasking. Female faculty members especially, we are very good in many things. We can do things simultaneously. So how are we going to bring in this and increase the higher level thinking skills among students? So first, when we are talking about the learning outcomes, let's focus on learning outcomes for online coaching. So we are doing online coaching. So how are we going to check whether their students are reflecting the required skills, the required competencies, and the knowledge that students have achieved and can demonstrate upon successfully completing a course? How do we know that? Outcomes expresses higher level thinking skills that integrates course content activities and can be observed as a behavior. So, when we talk about behavior, it's a bit complicated. So, how are we going to work on the behavioral aspects? We have to complete the course on one side, and on the other side, we have to do assessments, and on the third side, or one of the other important dimension is increasing the higher level thinking skills. So this is where I want to help you with Blackboard. So Blackboard is one of the essential online learning management tool which is very helpful. I have put some of the important links. Even LinkedIn has set of learning instructions and material for people. You can use this Blackboard for various important tasks that a teacher wants to do. So the first thing that I would like to, I'm using Blackboard actually, though there is Moodle and some of you I heard are also using Zoom. But Blackboard is said to be a very important and interesting tool. So once you have a Blackboard classroom, you only have to add your course. Once you add your course, it shows the program, the course, the instructor, and you can send the guest link to all the students who are registered in the course. And you can also enroll your students. Once the class is freezed, you have your attendance. So add in all your students with their register numbers so that you can see all your students in the classroom. And now, once you add all your students for this semester, lock that session, and from that day till the last day of the semester, you can give all your assignments. You can give all your assessments. What are the various types of questions we ask? Usually, if you see, we have open-ended questions. We have problems with formulas. They solve the problems. Then we have we have multiple right answers. We have choose the correct answer. We have true or false. So we can ask all type of questions in this. Except for descriptive, all the other questions are graded by the Blackboard. So that's the best. So you don't have to even do the grading. You don't have to, mark page by page, because now they are all sending by email. One of my friend was telling me, the emails are flooded and some of the students' emails are bouncing back to them. So these issues will not be there when you're using Blackboard. So just click this link and you will see how you can take attendance, how you can address them on live. You can call them by their name and you can ask them to answer. So if they are not answering every day's class, you just need to have internet, that's it. So every day's class is online. You want to have it for 3 hours, 5 hours, any number of hours. There is no restriction. Because some of these like Zoom and Google Meet, they have restricted hours. Whereas Blackboard, there is no such restriction. At least it is allowing more than 9 hours of lecture and training programs. So we can ask the students also to participate. You can ask them questions. You can ask the like a normal class, you can also ask them to open their video, open their camera, and you can record it and you can see their camera. If you can see them, you can visually check on when they are writing their exams. There is a browser called as lockdown browser that has been added to Blackboard. So you can use this and you can enhance your teaching experience. So apart from this, if somebody is asking you, are you being trained for online classes? Of course, yes. Though we are giving you a 1-hour lecture, this is not a complete equipment, right? We are not equipping you thoroughly. So for you to submit it as a certificate, there is a Blackboard Essential Training offered in LinkedIn. So I'm sure most of you would be members in LinkedIn. So you can just get into LinkedIn tutorials and take this course. It's just a 45-minute course, and then you can get the certificate and submit it to your university to tell them that you are a passionate online teacher. So there are many more things that I can talk to you about Blackboard. So anyway, I thought, I will wait for question answers and I move on to, the next important thing that I want to talk about is, okay, what is the focus? The focus is the same. What should be learned? Student learning outcomes. Where to learn it? By when should learning occur? From whom, when, how often will evidence be gathered? Because we are saying that we are trained, but what is the proof that we are trained? What is the proof that we have completed the syllabus? So where are we going to bring the evidence from? So we have to be concerned about student learning outcome. What experiences are provided for learning is very, very important. Your students are smarter than you, so they're going to ask you many more questions. So how are you going to address them? So how about completing the curriculum? So are you going to have some records? How are you going to measure their expectation and their performance and your contribution? Are you happy that you have a better focus than the regular class? I doubt. So we have to work more on focusing on the top 3 Bloom's taxonomy. Because we always talk about remembering, understanding, and at most, some of the courses move up a bit more and they say, how do you apply it in your day-to-day life? You think applying is the topmost skill. No, there's much more than applying. You have analyzing, you have evaluating, and you have creating, that is reproducing. So a teacher, when you are given a set of students with a list of subjects, I'm sure you have to enhance. You have to make your student distinguish different parts of these concepts that is being taught to them. So you have to use verbs. I'm sure all of you know how to use these verbs, right? So you have to use apprise. Your student should be able to apprise. Your student should be able to compare. He should be able to contrast and criticize, differentiate, discriminate, distinguish, examine, experiment, question the teacher and question the situation, and test, analysis. So this is where we talk about more of case studies. I want to give you a set of assignments also that you can give for these higher learning order skills, because we are not going to just teach and complete the syllabus and say that's it, we are done. No, that's not what we want to do. We want to prove that we are the best. We want to do our duty with utmost sincerity. So your student should move on to the higher level order of thinking. So the next thing that the student should understand is evaluating. So what are the things that your student can evaluate? So your student can apprise, argue on a particular topic, defend, judge, select, support, evaluate. So these are the key verbs. So the question answers that you're asking, the assessment that you are giving to your student should be based on these concepts. And finally, your student should be able to create. Say for example, if my student can understand a balance sheet of a company, say Apple or Google, because I love them. So take a balance sheet of Apple and take a balance sheet of Google, compare and contrast, criticize, differentiate, discriminate, distinguish the profits. What is their net profit? What is their returns? What is their ROI? What is their market capitalization? From analysis, they go in for evaluation. Why they have not achieved? Why Google is better than Apple? What's the reason? So move on to creating. My student should be able to develop. My student should be able to formulate, construct a balance sheet. So that's the intention with which we should work. So this is where I want to give you a set of activities that we can suggest for our students. So I told you we have to have higher learning order. So I said you are already focusing on knowledge and comprehension and application. So I want you to go up a bit more and give some challenging tasks to your students. So when you want your students to analyze what type of classroom activities and what type of assessments you can give them. So give your students, send your students some case studies, let them prepare a SWOT report and come to the class. Let them prepare a PESTEL report and come to the class. Let them just come prepared to the class for a group discussion, for a problem exercise. For synthesis, again, give them a case and ask them to develop a plan, construct simulations. They should be able to know how it works. So, for example, if I'm going to ask my students to invest online, not the real, the mock investment. So I tell them you have a lot of time at home now, so follow the BSc and NSc and then try to invest. So if I ask them to do that, how do you think they'll be able to do this? So there are a lot of simulations. For example, in India we have economic times, we have money control. So here in different parts of the world there is a different simulation which is already existing. So the student should be able to work on the simulations. So once the student works on the simulation, you should be able to check and you should be able to give them suggestions to improve. So this is going to help them to synthesize. Finally, evaluation. So let your student critique on a case study, on a project report, or on a simulation, or work on appraisal. So how are we going to do the assessment? I told you we can do course assessments online. So I'm dividing all the 6 strategies into 3 important skills. So what I'm doing here is I'm merging knowledge and comprehension, I'm merging application and analysis, I'm merging synthesis and evaluation, okay? So that you have 3 important coaching, teaching strategies. So the first one that I want to talk to you about is knowledge, the second one is skills, and the third one is competence. So when you want to test your students on knowledge, use multiple choice, short questions, long questions, concept matching. Okay, so when you focus on the strategy, teaching strategy, what is this teaching strategy that you're going to follow? Inquiry-based instruction, differentiation, visualization. And then comes cooperative learning strategy, dialogue and discussion, self-learning using web and IS facilities, cooperative learning strategies. And the next one is collaborative learning and guided assignments. So for skills, how can we check the skills? What type of assessments can we give your students? So we have problem sets, we have multiple choice, we have project evaluation, case study analysis, poster presentation. Students love poster presentation because it's more challenging. They have to bring in the entire concept in a visual form. It's really fantastic. You can even ask them to make a podcast because now they are very good in technology. So give them more challenging tasks. Let them design a podcast and submit it to you with their posters. So it will be a poster with explanation on the podcast. Research reports, portfolio evaluation, and oral examination. So this is for skills. Again, competence. Reports, a lot of reports, oral reports, written reports, poster presentation once again. So all these are the best course assessment methods we can follow to analyze a particular skill that has been acquired by our student, to analyze the competency that has been accomplished by our students, to analyze, to verify, to identify how much knowledge our students have gained. So there are a lot of activities that you can bring into the classroom. I know gamification is becoming number 1 today. I see a lot of articles coming up on gamification. So concept mapping, corners, fat and skinny exercise, fishbone, jigsaw. So you can choose one of them. For one subject, you can choose one of them. For example, I always use round table, round robin for most of my finance courses. Think, pair and share for my business communication course. Webbing for my ethical hacking course. So every time I use a different strategy for a different course. But what I have to have, how I have to prepare is with energy, with enthusiasm and empathy. if I have these three things as a teacher, I'm going to be very successful. And I'm sure all of you have the energy, enthusiasm, and empathy to be the best teacher, so that we run the race among ourselves, not with others. We check ourselves and we keep going forward. So I'm just going to go and complete our presentation for today. Finally, how are we going to perform and what are we going to practice? So there are 6 C's that I want to discuss with you. So the first C that I want to talk to you about is free will. Have a free will in the class. Give chance to your students. You don't have to always take the platform. We always say the sage on the stage is the teacher. No, let it be the students for a change. We have to be collaborative because we are social creatures. Always, if you ask me to sit in front of the laptop and lecture, I'm going to be feeling so bored. I don't want to give a lecture all alone. That's why I hate these recorded sessions. I love to talk to people. I would like to know their feelings because we are social creature and we need to collaborate. We need to know how the others feel, what the others understand. By looking at my students, I know whether they have understood or they are feeling bored. But today we are challenged. I cannot see your faces. But with the comments, I can know that yes, it's going good, or no, I have to. So the next C, important C, is communication using technology. Yes, right now we are connected with technology. We are communicating using technology. So how is this happening? What is happening here is we are communicating from one corner to another corner using technology, and you should be able to know how to use all these gadgets simply in a very easy way. The fourth C that I would like to explain to you is critical thinking, problem solving skills. Every day we get a unique problem. We know always students come to us with a lot of problems, but today with the online classes, our problems are really unique, but do not neglect them. Listen to your students because they do not have anybody else to listen to them. So talk to your students, understand their problem, respect them so that they respect you. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is creativity or uniqueness. Each one of the student is unique and each one of us are unique. What works for me might not work for you. So we have to explore and see what works for us. Sometimes it's very challenging. Sometimes it's really difficult to know what works. So what works? The one most important thing that I want to tell you is care works. When you care for your students, when you think what they want and what would help them to be better citizen, better employee, better student, better colleague tomorrow. So that is what you have to practice. So practice care. Mind is not a vessel that needs filling, but wood that needs ignition. Many people, we used to say, come keep your mind empty so that we can fill it. Don't say that anymore. We are not here to fill any vessel, but we are here to ignite minds. That's the task of the teacher. We are here to keep the fire on. We have to be practicing care, and at the same time we have to be igniting, and we cannot deviate from what is the responsibility that we have taken up. So our future classrooms are going to be like this. You don't see a teacher anywhere. Some students are into some group discussion. You can see 2 of the students with their headphones sitting in one corner of the classroom, another student sitting with a microscope doing some research, some 2 students browsing through the books, another faculty member standing there in the corner of the class and watching somebody perform something. So this is how your classrooms are going to be. So let your students work and keep a beautiful classroom like this. But we always used to say, keep quiet, listen to us, don't talk. கேள்வியெல்லாம் அப்புறம் கேட்கலாம். I've heard many of my teachers saying this. Wait until I finish. But now it's not that time anymore. Your students are not going to wait for you, but you have to wait for them to ask you questions, because they get exposed to quantum of knowledge, information. Information is available everywhere. So many data banks, online libraries, EBSCOs, and many things. So our students are more challenging. So our future classrooms are going to be like this. They're going to ask us if they want something from us. So let's learn to step back a bit and let our students perform better. So to summarize today's presentation, let's respect our students so that they respect us. Let's convey our passion for teaching by showing them that we teach the best thing. We teach them, we give them the best, and we have to tell them that we love teaching. Supposingly, somebody is asking me why I'm teaching finance. I have to tell them because the college gave me. No, I should not tell them because the college gave me. I should show them that I teach this subject because I love the subject. I have a passion for teaching this particular subject. I have to develop my passion for teaching that particular subject. It's not that always we get the paper that we want to teach. Sometimes we are going to teach some basic course for freshmen, that is for the first years. It's fine. It's fine. Develop passion for teaching that particular subject and show that you want to really learn and you really want to keep growing. I cannot tell my manager, or I cannot tell my academic head, the deputy of academic affairs, can I go and tell her that 30 years back I studied these subjects, so I want to teach only these subjects? Can I tell like that? Most of the courses that I studied when I don't even want to tell you when it was. Right? So most of the subjects that I studied long time back are not even in practice today. So keep developing an attitude to become an academic rigor. Just keep acquiring knowledge. Acquire. Go ahead in academic, levels and platforms. Engage your students inside and outside the classrooms. They have ample hours. So give them a lot of tasks. Make learning an active process, not a passive process. If I'm going to give you everything, right, you will not do anything. That's why I'm giving you only the link for, Blackboard. I'm not giving you the entire material for Blackboard. So you will register for Blackboard, you will read the course, it's free anyway, you will read the course if you are in LinkedIn, and you will update your knowledge. So there's going to be an active learning process. Staying current, very important. You have to tell your students. Sometimes, in a funny way, I used to tell them, I'm very bad at technology, but today I'm using all the gadgets. I don't have a choice. I'm doing very well with gadgets. Every day in Blackboard, my student sees an announcement, a new, I explore a new feature of Blackboard, and I use it for my student. I put the group discussions in Blackboard. I explore it. I keep updating myself, continuously improving our teaching methodology. Publishing our work, very important. Student wants us to, publish and prove by publishing in Elsevier, Francis Taylor, because they know indexing now. Because we are asking them not to do plagiarism, not to, not to be, what do I say? We ask them to write and publish. So we have to do that, and we have to prove to them. We also have to be flexible with them, because sometimes some students come to me with explanations saying that we have only one laptop at home and we are 3 children at home. So how do we share? So these are situations. I don't know about their economic background, and I don't know whether the student is really lying or saying the truth. But I'm flexible. I tell her, okay, if you can't attend the class, it's fine. But just ask your parents to let me know that there is only one laptop, and submit your assignments online or by email. No issues. Sometimes you can be a little bit flexible, but not always. Because now anyway, you cannot ask your student to come and present. So if your student wants the marks for presentation, obviously he or she has to do it. And I'm sure the lady faculty members are little, they are the surrogate parents. I mean, we are the surrogate parents, so we want to take care of them. So we can be a bit flexible, but not very much flexible, because they will take that flexibility for granted. So connecting to the outside world is very important. Kindly collaborate with your peers and keep doing a lot of researches. You should do research now, because this is time for you to work from home. So try to do many more things. I'm sure we are doing a lot more than before, but let's do a little more for ourselves, because now I see all my faculty members, all my team, everybody is working a lot, because you're giving a voice over PPT, you're doing animation in your PPT, you're doing a YouTube, you're doing many things. Right, but at the same time, do something for yourself. Collaborate with your peers and do some papers, do some researches, do some courses, so that you stand ahead the crowd. Run the race yourself. Success will be yours. Thank you for your attentiveness and interaction. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
There are a few questions.
Yes.
Professor Soundarya, her question is how to create interest on online classes.
I know this is the biggest challenge we are having, because the students are like totally demotivated. So the first thing that I would like to tell you is start your classes with some activities. So we are giving so many activities. For example, you can use a fishbone, you can use some kind of activities to your students. So this activity will increase the interest in the students. The student will start participating for this. So what I do is I gave them a competition last week. I gave them a couple of topics and I told them to build a story. I post a case study, I post a picture, and then I create the story. So keep yourself prepared for the classroom activities. There are many activities that you can conduct, and especially group discussions. Give them some, for example, you can give them some internal marks when they participate in the group discussions. So when they submit some assignments, when they create some, concept mapping, when they're doing it in the class, in your presence, allow them to, do something, contribute and volunteer, so that they'll be very happy and they'll be doing well. So that's what I do with my students. Hope I have answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. That is the same question of Professor Bindu. Put up in a different way. How is it possible to bring all the students into the online classes?
Yeah, make the attendance compulsory. What else we can do? I know we cannot enforce attendance, but at the same time, we have to tell them that this is important and motivate them. When you really show some care and concern on them, I think they are better and they just try to understand what we are trying to tell them. Is it not compulsory? The attendance is not compulsory online?
It's compulsory, ma'am. We do maintain attendance records.
Yeah, so ask them to get into the discussion board. Tell them that if they are not going to ask any question in the discussion board, you will not consider their attendance. Because in Blackboard, as I was explaining to you, Blackboard is an excellent tool. So in Blackboard, there is a place called discussion board. So once I teach, I tell my students, you have to come and discuss there. If they don't discuss, they don't get the attendance. And during my lecture, I keep asking questions and I ask them to answer in the discussion board, so that I know who's there and who's not there. I have a challenge. I cannot see my students because most of the Saudis they don't open the camera. So I cannot see if they are present. So what I do is I call them by their name and I ask them to give a reply, and then I also ask questions and I see immediately in the discussion board whether they have explained the thing that I have asked them. So this is how I maintain attendance. And Blackboard actually allows you to print the list of students. It shows the time they come in and the time they go out. Supposingly they log in and then they leave, you cannot find out. So this is where I ask them questions and I keep checking on them. Any questions? Any other questions?
Professor Chaudhary has raised the question, what is the difference between cooperative and collaborative learning strategies?
Cooperative and collaborative learning strategy is for, student to student. Most of the time we allow students to work among the students. We call this collaborative. So cooperative is, for example, when they are submitting a research report and both of them are getting equal marks, equal performance, this we call it as collaborative assignment. Collaborative teaching strategy is we allow them to work on parallel. Cooperative is there is somebody on top. There will be a mentor in the group and that mentor will help the team to work. So the mentor is evaluated for his or her leadership skills.
Yes, ma'am. Professor Divya, her question is there any funding agencies to gender-related research or project work?
There are many gender related research sponsors. If you see Mendeley, if I type, can they see Mendeley? I'm sure many of you must be knowing. When you register in Mendeley, there is a lot of scholarships available, and it is inter-country also. Mendeley is giving Elsevier. Elsevier has a tool called Mendeley. So they always keep us informing about sponsoring women on various research areas. They have to just follow Elsevier and Mendeley.
Yes, ma'am. Professor Sujata, her question is, I think teaching to teachers and parents is most essential than teaching to students.
Yeah,
Am I right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. This is the real challenge that we are facing, because when we are teaching, even the parents are there and sometimes my colleagues will be there. So I think we have to orient them first. It's more challenging because you're talking to equals and you're talking to somebody better than you. Students, of course, yes, they are not that much challenging. At least they have some concern, and then they care for us. That's what I would say. They are a little soft on us, whereas our colleagues and our parents and our management, I think we have to be practicing rigorously before we talk to them. It's a biggest challenge. I agree with you fully. And I have forgotten talking to the adults, actually speaking. It's been like so many years of teaching. Only after this lockdown, people are calling me for this webinar. And before that, I think I've never spoken to elders. I've never spoken to adults. I've actually forgotten. Sometimes, it's been like always addressing the students for like more than 25 years. So it's a big challenge. I agree with you.
Professor Tirupati, his question is, do you think that online teaching is more successful in rural India during this COVID time?
I don't think so, because of the technology, because of the internet. It's a big challenge in the entire country, I would say, or in the entire continent, I would say. The whole Asia, I would not say it's better or it's maybe a bit, but it is not 100%. Whether it is rural or urban doesn't matter, but the online teaching is still lacking so many things across the countries. See, in Saudi Arabia, I sit with all the technology. I have a beautiful studio designed, because from February there is lockdown, so I have got all the technology, but I still face the same problem as that of my friends here in India. I have all the serious issues, whether it is city or whether it is a metropolitan city, or it doesn't make any difference, honestly speaking, because I'm also addressing many crowds, many college students, so many in India. I think Indians remembered me for the last 5 months. all these years I was out of sight and out of mind. But in the last 5 months, I've been talking to different universities and different colleges in India. So there I see that the technology problem is still there, and students are not very happy with what's happening, and even the faculty members, we don't know the head or tail. So I wouldn't say it is better or it is successful. Just the technology part, okay, yes, I say there is a difference. But the success of the teaching is in the outcome of the students. I do not see the same outcome that I was able to bring from my one-to-one teaching or my personal teaching or my traditional teaching. My traditional teaching, I am still dependent on the traditional teaching, and I still feel that I had a better learning objective and I was able to bring out good outcomes in traditional classrooms. So if we can achieve the outcomes, the teaching learning outcomes, if I can bring them out on my students, if I can, okay, for simple way, in a simple way, if I have to say, if I can place all my students after this online thing, then I can call it is better. Until then, I cannot say anything. Because how do I measure my students' knowledge? How do I measure my students' understanding and applicability of the concept and everything? So it's all dependent on one simple factor, that is placement. If I can place my students, if this batch which I am teaching now is going to get placed like the previous batch, of course, I'll be fine. Okay, at least 50% because of the pandemic situation. If 50% of the students, if I can place, I'm working in a female university. So if I can place, yes, I'm successful. If I cannot, I'm so sorry. Then there is no achievement at all. Efforts, yes, I appreciate the efforts, but the results are also important.
Professor Anil Kumar Sharma.
Yes.
His question is, are changes required in the Bloom teaching learning concepts in present changing scenario, focusing on skill development?
No, that's what I've shown you today. So in the Blooms, you don't have to make any more changes because you are talking about the skills, you're talking about the competency, you're talking about the knowledge. So this is applicable whether it is online or traditional teaching. So you saw the latest one, which is applicable for online teaching. If you want, you can use the slides and you can see how it is applicable. The verbs that I've chosen are applicable. So kindly use these teaching strategies and the assessment strategies also. This Bloom's is, latest.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your informative address.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you for having highlighted us the teaching strategies which we teachers are to follow for online classes.
Welcome,
Of course, ma'am. As teachers, we are to make learning an active process and not a passive one.
Yes.
And you have also emphasized the 3 E's and 6 C's, which are vital for a successful teacher. Thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. Thank you for your patience in answering the questions put forth in the chat box.
Thank you.
Let me take this as an opportunity to thank Professor Ganesan also. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
My personal thanks to Dr. Ganesan as well. And thank you to you, and thank you to the Manonmaniam Sundaranar University. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear participants. Meet you tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the same time. Thank you, my dear participants.